One of the best new Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet is none other than Ogerpon Hearthflame, the new Fire-type Ogerpon form that's even being compared to the likes of Zacian. Today we're going to be using that in VGC with a really interesting, you guessed it, Tailwind team. I promise this is the last one in a row. So hopefully you guys enjoy though. If you do, leave a like and subscribe for more. And let me know what your favorite Ogerpon form has been to use in competitive. With that said, let's get started. Today's team of course does feature around Ogerpon Hearthflame with Spiky Shield, Player of Hornleech, and Ivy Cudgel. Thanks to the Tera Fire Ogerpon, of course, with the Hearthflame mask, we do get a fire type move out of Ivy Cudgel, and with that and Hornleech, we really only don't hit dragons, so having Player Up here just for any opposing dragons pre-Tera could be pretty useful. With Spiky Shield, of course, we do have a really good form of Protect that could be useful for breaking opposing Focus Sashes, especially if Pokemon like Chien-Pao do target into us, it's very, very handy nonetheless. This Ogerpon overall is a really good Tailwind partner, and with just max speed and max attack to deal as much damage as quickly as possible. And with pre-Tera, of course, we do have a really strong Mold Breaker, which is useful with Ivy Cudgel against Pokemon like Tera Grass and Tera Bug Heatran. Moving on though, we do have a really strong Tornadus partnership with this, with Tailwind, Sunny Day, Taunt, and Bleakwind Storm. The same Torn I've used, honestly, I'm not going to go over it other than the fact that it's meant for E-Speed D-Knight. It's pretty simple what it does at this point. I feel like I've went over this in every single video for the past week, so just trust me, it works. Moving on, we do have Rillaboom with an Assault Vest. This is 12 speed again for Creeping Pult with the Assault Vest with U-Turn, Knockoff, Grassy Glide, and Fake Out. Really good utility mon, and with Tera Fire, of course, it's a nice defensive Tera for opposing mons that would otherwise hit us pretty well. The coverage is pretty good, and anything that would try and hit us, for example, ground, rock, and water types, are all going to be hit pretty hard by Grassy Glide. And we also do avoid burns with this, which is pretty cool. Moving on, of course, we do have none other than Flutter main, which is going to be creeping Ogerpon and potential mirrors, which is pretty useful. We do have a lot into our special attack as well, with the remaining 116 thrown into bulk with 4 in each of our defenses. We have Tera Fairy with Gleam just to take advantage of the really strong Gleam, and Moonblast is a nice just single target fairy option here. We partner this with Torn, of course, to get a really strong special attack booster, which in tandem with our toy specs should be hitting most teams for pretty much guaranteed one-shots. So it's essentially just the special version of our Ogerpon, and just meant to murder everything. Moving on, we do have Chien-Pao, which should be a really good Ogerpon partner, and with Lash Out, of course, it's great for opposing Intimidate mons. Meanwhile, we have Icicle Crash and Sucker Punch as other primary stabs. We have Protect here just because it's really good to have Protect on Chien-Pao. It's one of the most useful ones to have Protect on, and Tera Ghost is really good just to get around opposing Fake Outs turn 1. Finally, we do have Urshifu-Rapid with a Toy Scarf this week, with Aqua Jet, Surging Strikes, U-Turn, and Close Combat. Actually, I think this one might be Drain Punch. I forget if it's Drain Punch or Close Combat. I'm pretty sure it's Close Combat. Let me double check my notes really quickly because I'm forgetting. It's Close Combat. Okay, yeah. Essentially, though, this Urshifu is just meant to creep really anything up to Dragapult and Tailwind, and then, well, actually, before Tailwind, I should say. And then with Tailwind up, I mean, we're just going to outpace pretty much everything viable in the metagame, leaning into that offensive nature with an Adamant Nature just to deal as much damage as possible, since we do lack our boosting item here. And then the Surging Strike should just be a really good primary stab with the Tera Water. Overall, this should be a really good offensive team. Team is going to have the rental up here as well as with the pace in the description. But with that said, let's get started on the battles today. And we are here today with our Ogerpon Hearthflame mask team. This is a pretty interesting one, of course. It's really just good mons plus Ogerpon, but Ogerpon is a good mon here. Unironically, Urshifu is probably the worst mon on this team, which should say a lot about the current meta game. But if you guys enjoy, of course, and you want to see some more content like this, like and subscribe for more, and let me know your favorite Ogerpon to use in competitive down below. We're taking on a team consisting of Cornerstone Ogerpon, Rillaboom, Farigiraf, Chi-Yu, Fluttermane, and Tornadus. Honestly, a pretty cool team. I like my team a lot. Obviously, it's pretty similar to ours, but there is definitely some differences. For example, their Fluttermane will be a lot better for Breaker here than ours will be, just by merit of having Chi-Yu, though we can take advantage of that as well. Their Cornerstone Ogerpon will actually also match up really well into our Hearthflame mask one, so we do need to be a bit careful with that. With all that though, I'm going to lead off with Torn, and I'm going to lead off with... I kind of want to lead off with Chien-Pao, but I also... Actually, yeah, I'll lead off with Chien-Pao. I might Tera Chien-Pao this game, to be honest. I'm not feeling the Ogerpon Tera. We are going to still bring it, though. And I'm going to bring Ogerpon Fire, and I'm going to bring Fluttermane. I would bring Farig, but I feel like that... I would bring Rillaboom, but I feel like their Farig is a pretty decent lead against it. Meanwhile, I'm not huge on the Urshifu-Rapid. Honestly, I can kind of see where this mon's falling off. But their Ogerpon can definitely take advantage of that, especially if they call the Tera correctly. Meanwhile, they also do have a lot of other pieces like potential booster speed Fluttermane. They have Rillaboom obviously with Glide. I'm just not really feeling their Urshifu. They're going to lead off with Cornerstone and Torn. That's actually perfectly fine. Now, this is a mon that I definitely could justify throwing Lash Out on POW for. After careful consideration, I built all of the these two teams I built at the same time. So I didn't really think about it until yesterday's video when I just was kind of like, oh, well, I need to do Cornerstone next. You know what would be useful? Sacred Sword, especially with the Tendozas that we fought yesterday. But thankfully, though, this is a Cornerstone Ogerpon. We know it's speed tier. We will guarantee outpace it, which is great. Because even if they go for Taunt, which they do not, we still get the first attack here, which is good. And they also did not go for Tera, which means they're actually going to be not only neutral to this attack, but they're also going to end up taking just a lot more damage because they will lack their defensive boost. Which should help us a lot, actually. We just bring it down to Sturdy, which is huge. Anticipating a Horn Leech here, or maybe even a Synthesis. No, they get flinched. Ooh, that's rough. That's really rough. We'll just go for Bleakwind here, though. We kill anyway with that guaranteed, and then I'll go for Icicle Crash into Torn, because we outpace the Torn, and that's a free kill for us. They canceled battle. I'm not even surprised. Unfortunate for my opponent, because I do think that could have been a lot worse for us. But we'll take it. We'll see you guys in game number 2, though. Moving into game number 2, we're taking on a team consisting of Tornadus, Land of Tea, Sableye, Dengo, Okidogi, and Dragonite. Definitely think this is a pretty cool team as well. You don't usually see Sableye, but it gives a lot of potential for stuff like Bulk Up Okidogi, DD Dragonite. Most likely, though, probably SD, Lando, and Plot on Dengo are the two that I'm anticipating here. But regardless, though, pretty cool lead nonetheless. I do need to be a bit careful leading off with Torn here, even though I probably want the speed. I can't really confidently Tera this mon either this game. It's not bad, it's just I can't really burn it either. I think I'm instead going to lead off with a pretty aggressive lead of Chimpao and Ogerpon. I'm going to bring Flutter in the back, and then I think I'm going to actually I'll lead off with Urshifu-Rapid. I feel like it's a bit safer. Because the Landers, even if it is Tera Water and it does Tera on the Pow plus the the Pow plus Urshifu. Actually wait, Rillaboom would just be better for that. Let me withdraw, and I'm actually just going to bring in the full physical core here. Obviously that does kind of limit a little bit. Well, actually no, I'm not going to bring Urshifu. I'm going to bench that again. I'm bringing Fluttermane. Fluttermane will just be safer for the Dragonite, and especially if they don't Tera. And even if they do Tera, if they lock Band with E-Speed, that's a pretty good immunity right there. But I do think ultimately this is the 4 I need. Urshifu-Rapid was really good here though, and frankly it'll probably be better against any not Tera Water builds than Rillaboom is. The difference is though is that Rillaboom can still apply Fake Out pressure, which is nice, and on top of that as well, I also, Rillaboom's also probably just a slightly better mon. Maybe not against this lead. This is like the one lead where that probably wasn't the case, but it's fine. I can actually still manage this pretty well, because all I actually need to do now is just completely ignore the Dragonite, which might sound a bit weird, but for turn 1, I think it's the best play. We're gonna go for Tera. We're gonna go for Tera Ghost, because I actually do think that Tera Ghost Pow is a pretty good mon here. They do have obviously the E-Speed D-Knight, which is huge for that, but just getting that complete immunity. Actually, okay, no, I do kind of have to pop at turn 1, which is unfortunate. If they go for some other coverage, could play on my opponent's end. And then I'm going to go for a U-turn here into the Dragonite. This should help with any sort of, I guess, one if it's multi-scale. I don't think it's multi-scale D-Knight, they're usually not, but the Screen Sableye team helps kind of give value to that. More importantly too, it just helps with getting into something better, which in this case will be the Fluttermane. Even if they go with Tailwind and Torn, I'm pretty okay with that, because D-Knight's probably just spamming priority. Okay, so they're not spamming priority. Good to know, but they are going to go for Tailwind, which is still perfectly fine. And they're going to go for Ice Spinner and D-Knight. Okay, it's still honestly perfectly fine. Rillaboom takes that, just barely, but it does still take that, which counts. That counts. So we'll go for Crash. This should be pretty good, of course. Now my opponent will. Ooh, they're actually going to be Focus Sash. That's pretty terrible. That's actually really terrible. Yeah. Ooh, not good at all. I can still bring in Fluttermane though. Fluttermane will probably be fine here, and then I can go for a Sucker Punch into Torn. This way we can just make sure that we take it out, limit as much damage as possible that Fluttermane might have to take, and then depending on whatever Dragonite goes for, whether it burns a Tera or not, I mean, we can definitely play around that. So actually I'll go for Sucker Punch into D-Knight. I don't think it's not going to E-Speed either my Pokemon. So we would have to go for Aqua Jet, which will actually be pretty weak, and I feel like that will just be the better play. This means you have to take 2 attacks, but at the same time, Dragonite's kind of, it's not usually ran like super defensively. And especially since they are, they're Torn very well might just switch here to try and preserve for a late game Tailwind. But more importantly too, since they are a screen team, I'm not anticipating this to be some defensive Dragonite. At most, maybe multi-scale. But Dragonite does need a good amount of speed to really be a viable Tailwind breaker here. And they don't know that, well actually they definitely don't outspeed Pow. We know that for a fact as well, because they didn't outpace last turn. So they're going to withdraw Torn here, that's perfectly fine. They're going to probably, I guess they're bringing Landers. I feel like they're bringing Landers here. Yeah, they bring in Landers. Okay, perfect. So they read my play perfectly, which is still honestly okay. Lando will still take a comfortable amount from this, and the Dragonite will still get a good amount from Sucker. Yeah, that's decent. They're gonna Ice Spinner me. That's pretty fine. They're gonna break Pow's Sash, which is good though. That's really good. Because Fluttermane Gleam will definitely kick off D-Knight, and Lando still takes a ton from that. That's Sucker Punch range right there for sure. Okay, so we don't even need Ogerpon, which is kind of the beauty of the Ogerpon Fire teams, is that Ogerpon Fire is so broken, the players need to position it in such an awkward way around it, that you don't even really need it most games. We will definitely need to clean with it though, because I cannot anticipate that we will actually keep either Pokemon past this turn. Just to make sure, I know we won't kill Okidogi with Gleam. I'm kind of okay with that though. I'll let it pick its kill, and I'm gonna kill the Landers at least, because that's a good pivot around my Ogerpon, if nothing else. Especially since they haven't burned Tera, that could in Tailwind potentially be a threat. So I don't really want to give my opponent that turn, and I'd rather avoid like a Tera Flying or a Tera Ground, or, well, not Tera Ground. Tera Flying would probably be the case. Also Tera Water obviously could be an issue. So I'd rather just avoid that altogether. We do, to be fair, have Rillaboom in the back, which also gives us a nice fake out turn, which is really valuable. I'm assuming this is probably some sort of bulkier Lando. I don't know if it's necessarily AV, but it's probably bulkier, like nonetheless. They're gonna Tera Okidogi though. That's pretty good for us actually. Tera Grass, oh, that accidentally worked out really well. That accidentally worked out super well. They're not even gonna let us get to the Ogerpon turn, which I'm okay with. They're gonna go for Protected Lando. That's fine. That's really fine actually. Did they at least creep Chimpao? Oh, right, no, we went for Sucker Punch. Never mind, I thought I crashed that. I considered crashing that earlier. Ooh, Fluttermane almost died to that. Ooh, that actually did a lot. That did a considerable amount of damage. They are Life Orb though, so they're gonna completely get foddered off to this hit. Because they're not AV, and AV is really the only way that's bulky. Because, I mean, look at this. They're pretty much dead. Just for safekeeping, I am gonna Sucker again, and I'm gonna go for Gleam. They could just Earthquake, and if their Lando does creep us, I mean, they might take this depending on how bulky they are. Which is kind of why, again, I need to kill the Lando at least, because Lando is kind of a threat. It's at least enough of a threat to where I do need to respect it. They could potentially just kill with both Mons though. I mean, Earthquake, for example, on Lando, if it creeps, would probably do enough if they live. So I'm not really threatened by Okidogi though. It doesn't really put up any presence. They're gonna switch, okay. So they are gonna definitely claim a kill here, an uncomfortable kill at that. They're gonna bring in Torn. So Torn is also kind of a problem because they'll now have Lando in the back as well, and they can kind of just keep pivoting this. You know, disrespecting Pow all they want, which I'm okay with that. No, they're gonna knock off. Okay. So that's still fine, because they're trading these two Mons for a Mon that Fluttermane doesn't really care about. So I'm okay with that. For sake of, it's been a little bit long since we brought in Ogerpon even to touch the field. She does deserve some kills, so I'm gonna let her take the final kill on the laner, so we know it's a guaranteed kill. So I'm gonna go for that. Meanwhile, we are gonna switch out of Fluttermane into just Rillaboom, really just for safekeeping, because I can do that. And I can also, I mean, that'll be good for limiting any sort of stab that Landers might click here. We know it can't click a Tera Rock, so it can't gain the Rock stab, it can't get Tera Blast, which is good. Oh, actually, Ogerpon just outpaces. I thought it'd be one more turn of Tailwind, so I was gonna Spiky Shield, but even better in all honesty. So yeah, Ogerpon just gonna claim her kill. She deserves it. She's been benched the whole game so far. The whole 2 games, actually, so far. When she would have done decent in game 1, she could have slayed game 2, though, so we're gonna let her get the last kill. Ivy Cudgel should do enough. I'm just gonna go for that. No real drawback there. It does a lot more than Hornleech would. And then even if my opponent does go for a Protect this turn, I'm just gonna go for Fake Out. Oh, asshole. They just sniped Ogerpon of her kill. Alright, well, we're gonna see you guys in game number 3, where hopefully Ogerpon will be able to do something. Again, so far, no good, but she's still very broken, so I have faith. Peace out there. Moving on to team number 3, we're actually taking on a pretty strong team. This was the top 16 at Worlds team. It consists of Tornadus, Urshifu, Fluttermane, Arcanine, Sui, Chimpao, and Rillaboom. So it's basically where I got the inspiration for this team from, but I just threw on Ogerpon, and I'm relying a lot more on Rillaboom than this team did, because Grassy Glide is actually a really dumb move. In terms of their lead, I feel confident in just leading off with Rillaboom Pow. I know they have Tailwind, and that's fine. I'll actually backline my Tailwind and then bring Ogerpon in the back. The issue being, though, is I'm almost certain they're actually going to lead off with the Sui Arcanine, so I can actually just go for Fake Out into that, plus my play would probably be going for Fake Out plus Lash Out into that spot, and then going for a Grassy Glide on the following turn just to pick it off, and then if they're going to go for E-Speed, I don't really care about E-Speed. If they're not going to go for E-Speed, that's fine. I can outpace. But they're pretty confidently going to lead off of the Arcanine, and I feel like just by dual targeting that gets me a lot of just general legroom here. Let's see. So they're going to lead off with Urshifu-Rillaboom. Ooh, Urshifu-Rillaboom is actually pretty interesting. I don't mind this at all. Just to be safe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for Tera Ghost. Yeah, am I going to go for Tera Ghost? I don't actually know if I'm going to go for Tera Ghost. I might just go for Crash. I think I'm just going to go for Crash, and I'll just go for the Glide. And I'm just going to try and get my damage. They are going to protect on Urshifu. That's perfectly fine, because Rillaboom's either not going to go for Fake Out now, which means I get a free turn. No, so they kind of just wasted a turn. That's not Scarf Urshifu though, so I have no reason to fear this, because any priority will not kill. They don't really get anything out of this, I feel like. Yeah, I can just glide pretty confidently. I might even just dual target just to be safe and pick off the Urshifu here, but I know I can kill with Tera Grass. Right, I'm not Tera Grass, I'm not Miracle Seed in this one. I'm gonna dual target then, because I don't actually mind Rillaboom. I do mind Pow a lot more. Actually, no, because neither is Scarf. I actually don't care about either, to be honest. I'm going to get rid of the Fake Out one just to be safe, though, and I'll get some good damage on Rillaboom. But, not Rillaboom, on Urshifu. But again, I know I don't kill. This mon's not really too scary either. That actually nearly killed, so it's not really that bulky of a Urshifu, which I'm fine with. They avoid fucking them, I guess, but we'll still be able to pick this off later on. Okay. Still very fine. They're probably going to U-turn on Rillaboom if I had to guess, which is whatever. You know, I could have killed that mon, but it is what it is. We're going to still be able to get some decent damage on my opponent though, and the Tera Fire on Ogerpon will be huge against this team actually, because it's definitely not a Scarf or Sui Arcanine, and if they don't have Tailwind up, they're just gonna kind of have to take damage from Glide plus Ogerpon's just Horn Leech probably would be the play. Yeah, it'd be Horn Leech. They're gonna bring in Pow. Pow is actually still very fine. I don't really mind Pow at all actually. In fact, just to be safe, what I'll probably do, so I kind of want to bring in Torn. I feel like bringing in Torn is my play, just so that way then I can... No, I think I bring in Ogerpon here, actually. Yeah, I think I bring in Ogerpon. Because I could go for Spiky Shield and break Pow Sash that way in case it tries to attack me with that. And then meanwhile, I can just go for Glide into the Urshifu here and just pick that off. But even if it goes for Aqua Jet, I don't really mind. I'll save my turn to Tera just to keep it neutral in case they go for Aqua Jet. But Spiky Shield should go off if they attack with Pow. That's great for me, because their Sash is broken. They're going to protect on Urshifu here. Okay, so that means they're probably going to go for a... Yeah, so they're probably going to go for an Icicle Crash into the Rillaboom here. Not the best for me, but it could be worse. It could definitely be worse. Yep, they're going to go for Icicle Crash, but they hit theirs. Keep in mind, they hit theirs. Very unfortunate. It's super bad for us. I can still definitely make this work, though. I just need to be a bit careful is all. Their Life Orb on Pow. Okay, so then this actually means nothing to me. This Pow is completely fodder for me, because now all I need to do is just kill the Urshifu, because the Urshifu is the threat to my Ogerpon. But with Tera Fire, I mean, Pow is not really doing anything to me, so I'm gonna go for Tera Fire, and I'm gonna go for Horn Leech. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Horn Leech still, because Horn Leech will be my better play. And then meanwhile, I'm gonna go for Tailwind here, because that will make sure that I outpace. Even if they go for an Aqua Jet, that's fine. They won't really kill. Also, I'm not even sure if they have Aqua Jet, frankly, but regardless, I can play around it. They've gone for Protect, and they've gone for Close Combat, though, so they'll definitely 100% confidently die. And then we'll get any recovery back as well off of whatever damage they do, which is huge. With the Tailwind up too, because I will outpace Urshifu, I should well, I actually outpace Pow as well. That's also pretty good. So they didn't click Sucker Punch and Pow then, and I don't think they clicked on Urshifu. Perfect. Mon's gone. Even if we lose Torn here, I can Ivy Cudgel into the Pow pretty confidently. The only exception will be, I guess, if Arcanine comes in, they're gonna crash. Okay, they're crashing Torn. Not great, but could be worse. Again, they're hitting theirs, keep in mind. They're hitting theirs. Oh wait, you know what? They have Rillaboom in the back. So Rillaboom should be fine. I could Spiky Shield on the next turn, and then I can just target Pow because it's the mon that actually outpaces me. I don't really care about Rillaboom though. Rillaboom is a non-issue. Okay. Well, actually, no. I'll have to target Rillaboom because Pow could protect. So I'm gonna go for Spiky Shield here. Try and break any sort of damage that they would otherwise be going for, and then I proceed to go for the Ivy Cudgel into Rillaboom, because otherwise I'm wasting a turn when they will definitely go for Protect on Pow. Either that or they're going to switch. I'm not really sure which they'll do, but I don't go for IV Cudgel in that spot either way. They're going to go for Fake Out, perfect, with them taking damage. And then Pow is probably going to go for a Crash, which is great because that means it takes damage. Maybe they go for Sucker, which is fine because that would fail, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Secret Sword, okay, perfect. So they're going to take damage from that because that is definitely contact. Okay. So we will take this. We will take all of this. All of this and more. Yeah, we're gonna definitely target the Urshifu, not the Urshifu, the Rillaboom here though. Grass disappeared, that's fine. Actually, Rillaboom might switch here. I think I'm still fine to just go for IV Cudgel though. Yeah, I'm just gonna target Pow. I'm gonna target Pow, that's a lot more of a threat. They're gonna go for Sucker Punch, okay, perfect. I'm glad I didn't just ignore that. Oh my goodness though, that did a lot of damage. Rillaboom I think kills, that's unfortunate. Because I think, because if they didn't have Rillaboom, I could have just been a lot more aggressive in the targeting Pow, which is super unfortunate for us. Because now Rillaboom definitely kills. If they didn't have that Fake Out Mon though, I could have played around this so much more easily. So, that's super unfortunate, because also my Rillaboom had to take way too much. Alright, Ogerpon was robbed, but it's okay. She's gonna get a game next game that will be her shining moment. This was super unfortunate though, I'm so sorry. We'll see you guys in the final game of the day though. Until then, peace out. Okay, and for our final game of the day, we're taking on a pretty interesting Veil team with A9, Articuno, Empoleon, Shiftry, Tauros, Blaze, and Sinistra. So I do like that we're ending 2 videos in a row now with Hail, but it works out fine. Articuno's probably the Tailwind Mon here, which makes sense for Windrider Shiftry. They have Empoleon with Competitive, that's probably meant to be a good cleaner and take hits well behind Veil. Sinistra's just really good support and gives this team a nice Trick Room mode, which most of these Mons besides like Articuno, not Articuno, Ninetales and Tauros can probably do pretty well in Trick Room if really needed. I like the team, it's pretty cool. Unconventional, but it's pretty cool. We're going to lead off with Ogerpon, and we're going to lead off with Rillaboom. I think this gives me a really good lead turn 1, because Ogerpon can just start shattering things immediately, meanwhile Rillaboom applies a good Fake Out support here. I do like the idea of bringing Urshifu-Rapid, especially if I need to crit through Veil, that could be pretty useful actually. And then I think final Mon on the team is probably going to be, I kind of like Fluttermane, but I feel like I have to Tera that, so I'm actually going to go with Pow, because Pow at least puts up some decent pressure against things like Sucker Punch, Shiftry. I don't really need to match their Tailwind, their team's actually really slow. I could match their Tailwind. Torn could be a pretty good lead, actually, with Ogerpon, now that I think about it, because it helps around any sort of Tera Ghost shenaniganry. I doubt their Mental Herb. I am still going to bring Pow and Urshifu, though. I'm actually going to bench Rillaboom, because the type matchup against most of these mons is pretty unfortunate, but at the same time, though, Fake Out would have been nice. I just think that Torn's Taunt might be a little bit more useful is all. Good luck and fun on my opponent though, and let's see what we can do. I feel confident that we can put some decent pressure on my opponent's team here. Thankfully, again, we just kind of out-damaged them with my Mons, is the unfortunate truth, especially without Veil, they just can't really take a hit. It's not going to be like yesterday's team where, well, it's a good team, Okie dokie just takes a lot to get going, because Ogerpon just is the going Mon, it just always is. They're going to lead off with Shiftry though. I'm curious if Shiftry is going to be the Tailwind setter, because I know it gets Tailwind. Either way, I think I just go for IV Cudgel. I don't go for the... Actually, I could just IV Cudgel right into Empoleon. That would be kind of silly. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for IV Cudgel into Empoleon, and I'm going to go for... I can't go for Bleakwind here. I'm going to go for Sunny Day. I'm going to go for Sunny Day. Actually, that'll be good, because I can weaken Empoleon's attacks while I can also boost my own IV Cudgel. That's probably the best thing I could do here, actually, because that stops Shiftry from getting a +1 boost with the immunity to Bleakwind, which is kind of unfortunate because Shiftry actually is a really good lead against my Torn, but it doesn't do shit to Ogerpon. I know that for a fact, it does not do shit to Ogerpon. They might go for Tailwind, which is fine if they do, but at the same time, I don't really have a reason to fear that because that means they're not attacking this turn, and they're losing their Empoleon meanwhile, which is good for me. So Ivy Cudgel, that's going to shatter Empoleon. That's so unfortunate. This Mon just gets power crept the second it gets a nice buff. It's still a mid-tier Mon, which is sad. Sadly, the DLC didn't give us a lot of really good Mons yet, but those are coming in DLC too. Most of them are already confirmed. We have Incineroar and Whimsicott for crying out loud. They do get up Tailwind, so now I do need to match, which is fine. Shiftry, Willow, Windrider boosting, so it could actually keep up. I'll probably just go for Spiky Shield plus Spiky Shield plus Tailwind here. That should help with trying to break a Focus Sash in Shiftry if it has one. Mon is kind of threatening now. Ooh, okay. So I do need to go for Sunny Day here. Sunny Day will help a lot, though. Sunny Day will definitely help a lot. I will go for Spiky Shield either way, though, and then I'm just going to go for Sunny Day. That should hopefully help with just stopping A9 from going for fail. And not only that, but it helps me the most. It helps me more than Taunt, because Taunt's only for 3 turns. It at least stops the snow entirely, so it can't get up Veil later on. Not only this, but we know that Shiftry is not chlorophyll, which is, it's a good decision to have to make here. Because obviously, I mean, typically you're going to see that Shiftry will be better with Wind Rider in this metagame because it helps with the priority, which is huge. But at the same time, though, just knowing it isn't is a good distinction to make, because that could have made Shiftry infinitely faster and making like a Tera Fire set really threatening for when Tailwind ran out. They're there for knockoff and Icy Wind, that's perfectly fine. That's not really doing real damage, and they've now broken a Focus Sash if they have one. So I can just go for Ivy Cudgel here, and because my opponent didn't make a good play last turn, I can go for Tailwind. I'm now the fastest Pokemon on the field, they cancel the battle, okay. That's pretty fine. It's a little bit of a shorter video, but we can make this work. This can be where we end the video today. What the heck. If you guys enjoyed, of course, and you want to see some more content like this, like and subscribe for more. We're going to be featuring both the other Ogerpon forms, as I did mention in the team builder. The next one will be the Wellspring form. We have a nice team built by my good pal Griffin, and if you guys know anything from the Sandy Shock teams, you know that there's got to be some really good gimmicky Pokemon on this team that will make it work, and I've been told the one for this team is going to be very spicy. Haven't seen it yet, but I'll be looking at the team tomorrow when I record this on Blood Moon, which is tomorrow's video, so hopefully you guys look forward to that. If you do want to see some more content, though, of course, we have a bunch of bonus content coming soon. I did say that Clefairy would be coming today. I lied. It's actually going to be coming tomorrow because I remembered I have work today and I need to still set up my new phone, which I just got yesterday night. So we have a little bit more to do before I can get to recording Clefairy, but thankfully I should be able to get that to you guys tomorrow, no problemo. Speaking of, though, if you want to become a channel member and get all that extra bonus content, such as the Clefairy video for how to use it in Regulation E, as well as other content you guys vote on, and the bonus content for our upcoming series that for channel members will be starting on Monday, and for non-channel members will be starting a week from Monday. Make sure, of course, you guys join for that. It should be an extra video every week, completely separate from the normal member content for the duration of this series. Our current channel members, of course, are Zeke Zero, Mia, Timo Mueller, Rao, Obo, Johanna Speed, Double, Endless Gadgets, Bambambi, Josh, the Ultra Player, and Incog. Your support on the channel is greatly appreciated, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out, guys.